What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Time for the Truth podcast with your host, Samuel. This is where we talk about stories or things that I have in my head and we tell the truth about them. So make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below. As well, leave a review. These are my own opinions, and so let's start telling the damn truth. So let's begin. It's a sad day. It's a sad day, actually. Reading up to the story, I actually didn't really hear about the story. I only heard the story yesterday. They found, we got breaking news that they found the remains that were found in the national park in Wyoming is confirmed to be YouTuber slash Instagrammer Gabby Petito. Gabby Petito her remains were found in the national park in Wyoming. It's confirmed to be her. Her death has been ruled a homicide. Which is sad. It's really sad. It is really, really sad to find out that the closest ones always hurt you. And in this case, her fiance did not protect her. But apparently this relationship has been very tense for a while now. Because if you hear the conversations between her and the mother and the information that the police recovered in the home, there was vivid conversations that the relationship was very tense. Now, why would you? Maybe they thought, oh, let's go on a trip and let's see if we can work things out. But it ended up with her being killed. It's really sad. Because apparently they were supposed to be traveling for 4 months. But apparently the fiance, Brian Laundrie, is that what you call it, 23, he returned from his trip. He returned home early on the 1st of September, back home in Florida. Then 10 days later, the Petito family reported her missing. Ladies and gentlemen, you already know the outcome. Excuse me. You already know the outcome. The fiance, it could look like the fiance, but you don't know what happened. I'm not going to go there. But you already know what's going to happen. He's on the run. The boyfriend was on the run. He came home and then he left again. Coincidence? I think not. Because if you've not done anything wrong, right, you would have turned yourself in, or you would gone to the police and report something happened. It's really sad. And then apparently, and then what's even worse, it could be a domestic abuse, a domestic violence case. Where both sides were abusing each other. Where he hit her, she hit him, and then it just led to this unfortunate situation. Because on the 12th of August, Utah police were called in the town. I think police were called, and this is the funniest. I don't. Excuse me. I don't want to go there, but I'm gonna go there. Police were called, right? And apparently, they were arguing. So, and apparently the officers recommended them just to spend the night, together. Not even spend. No, sorry. Spend the night apart. And guess what? They did not officially file any charges. Of course, if you wouldn't file any charges, you don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just a couple arguing and arguing and arguing. So they just say, you know what, guys, just split apart for the night. Just don't hang out. Just don't spend the night together. What does that say, though? I don't know. What does that say? They really didn't think it was a threat. Oh, the police officers. So you saw a white couple. You could have saved. You know what? I'm gonna conclude that. But right now, let's talk about Gabby. Gabby, rest in peace, and I hope you get justice. And I hope they find him your ex fiance. I really do, because I believe he's. I mean, he's killed you. Your death has been ruled a homicide, which means it's either blunt blunt force trauma. He probably hit you with something, and he let you die. That's probably it. And then he comes back home, and he disappears again, and then he's gone. Now he's in hiding. Apparently they've picked him up. Apparently he was back 500 miles away from Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, he seems guilty. It's sad. It's really sad. It's really, really sad. And then the video. I mean, if you go find the video's online of Gabby and the police interacting, where she talked about her mental health, their relationship, and how, I think altercations that they've had. And she looks stressed. I mean, if you look at the video, she looks very stressed. It's really sad. Domestic abuse. Now, but what makes it even sadder is that the last time she uploaded a video was on the 26th of August. She uploaded a video of her taking a picture in a canyon type, like a Grand Canyon type setting. But ultimately, the place where she did that led to her death. I mean, say led to her death, but where she took that picture is ultimately where she died. That's the better term. Sorry, I do apologize. It's really sad. If it's really, really sad, and if you think about it, it's like, whoa, domestic violence. Domestic violence. It's just sad. This is a domestic violence case. And what's even sadder is that both of them had a fight, an argument, and they did not charge anybody with the crime. So the police officers obviously just say, okay, fine, moving on, because they were in love, wink, wink. I just, wow, it's so sad. It's sad. I mean, I just feel like, you you have a, you have a, you have a what? What's the word I want to use? A young couple that went through things that they were not ready for. But it shouldn't ultimately lead to somebody dying. It shouldn't. You can't just solve everything to just, okay, let's just go and let's just explore nature. What made you concerned about the relationship ultimately led to somebody dying. I mean, you're fighting and had physical altercation, and now one person's dead. Hey, at first I was gonna blast the police, but if nobody charged, if the police did not, if they both said, okay, we're not gonna go push forward with domestic, domestic. I don't know what the term is, but without like physical altercation or domestic dispute or whatever. Ultimately, the police can't do anything. They're just like, okay, please spend the night apart and go. It's so sad. It's just sad. It's just sad. I mean, I just do. My prayers. Oh, my heart goes out to the family. They trusted an individual to take care of their daughter, and he failed to do that. Maybe their parents thought, oh, this trip might help them. Excuse me. The trip might help them. But it didn't. It just made the situation worse because their relationship was already strained. And it even got worse it got worse. It got worse during their trip together. I just don't, it's really sad. A young couple like this. And it just shows you that rushing, for marriage is pointless. At this time, you need to be dating. You just keep dating, keep dating, keep dating. Even if you've been high school sweethearts, you were kids. Now you're becoming adults. Rushing into marriage because, okay, I was a high school sweetheart doesn't do anything. You're kids. You're teenagers. You guys were different back then. You're different now. You needed to make sure he's the one. Because not all high school sweethearts turn out to be LeBron James or in Savannah. None of them do turn out to be like that. I mean, it's just sad to see, somebody's life taken away. 22 years old. 22 years old. Gone. Gone from the world. Because they did not know how to deal with situations and relationships. I mean, your relationship was stressed. Why why see if what y'all loved before works? Because now ultimately you were abusive, he was abusive, and now you dead. Or she's dead. Let me turn around. She was abusive, he was abusive. Now one's on the run and one's dead. No counseling, no therapy, no nothing. That's why you kids need to realize that being in a relationship is a whole different story than being high school sweethearts, because that's just lovey-dovey. You just lovey-dovey. We're being in a relationship, being in a committed relationship, being in an engagement is a whole different story. Until you're strong enough to understand each other and deal with the situation like adults, do not get married. No, do not force marriage. If you force marriage, it's going to get worse. And as you can see, a woman died because they did not have the proper understanding of their relationship. It's all fun and dovey on camera, but behind the scenes, we don't know what goes on. And sad. Gabby Petito. Very free spirit. And if you look at the body cam footages, you can see both of them are distraught. And both of them are talking about the altercation. I mean, literally, both of them. I mean, there was a caller that there was 911 call. I don't know. I'm not gonna play the 911 call, but then there was a 911 call that suggested that he was abusing her. And I think when the witnesses came to stop and stopped, and then I think they ran, and then I think they went up the road and he hit her again, and they drove off. It got physical. And you're just like, what did you think was going to happen? Your relationship was thing. What do you think was going to happen? You thought, oh yeah, we're going to take videos, we can take pictures, we can take all of that stuff, and we're going to rekindle our love again. I mean, they told the police that we're not going to press charges. We're not going to move on with any charge. We're not going to charge. Both of them did not put any, what's the word? What's the sentence I want to use? Both of them did not use any, both of them did not, go forward with it, as I said. And the police decided, no, there's no, just a couple going through what a couple goes through. And now I just want, I'm just going to use, it's very insensitive. It is. But I want now white Americans to now look at this situation and now ask yourself this. Are all white people domestic abusers? Because you seem to do that with African Americans. You group us. You tend to group us and tell us, oh, we're this, we're that, we cause this, we cause that. Not looking at different people. Different people have different experiences. No. Hey, a young couple, 22, 23. Domestic violence. Why is that? Why is domestic violence? Why is it domestic violence? Are you white people domestic abusers? The white community, are you domestic abusers? No? I'm just asking, because you tend to do that with the African American community. Oh, with black on black crime, with this. You throw all the statistics you want to throw at. Now, a domestic dispute has led to somebody dying. Are y'all domestic abusers? I shouldn't be saying this, but I just want white America to know that people are different. Because now, would your daughter now stop dating white American boys? No. So why do you group every African American in one box? Why? Domestic dispute has led to a woman dying. So are all white people domestic abusers? Are you violent? Because you seem to put that label on African Americans very quickly. Very, very quickly. You tend to put that out there very, very, very quickly. That we're violent, we this, we dangerous. We get angry. You say we are mad with this and that. What happened here? 22 and 23. Not even in their late 20s. 22 and 20, early 20s. What happened here? Domestic abuse. Domestic abuse? At this age? Especially with Gen Z now empowering women. What's going on? Are y'all domestic abusers? Because you tend to do that every single time a situation happens with an African American. You throw statistics. You throw statistics at at African Americans. You throw statistics. So what do we say here? What do we say here? A young couple. Domestic abuse. This is definitely domestic abuse. I really want to know. I really want to know what white Americans' reaction to this, because they tend to be flip floppy. Sorry about that. They tend to be flip floppy. One thing is one thing, the next thing is another thing. Huh? And I shouldn't be bringing it up. It's very insensitive. But I just want people to realize this situation happened. Now are your daughters now going to stop dating young white American boys because domestic abuses? Is your son now going to stop dating white American girls? Domestic abuses. Hey, come on now. A trip turns into somebody dying. Relationship restrained. She's dead. What's this? What's the correlation here? You need to white Americans need to realize people's experiences are different. You're not going to group you're not going to group different people. The white Americans. You're not going to group yourselves together. You're going to say, look, this person was different from this person. But you tend to do that we don't tend to do that with the African American community. You tend to group individuals in a box and say, yeah, this person does it, so every person does it. Instead of looking at different experiences. Okay, maybe this guy is different. Maybe this girl is different. Maybe this person is different. Maybe this person is different. Maybe this person is different. Huh? She's a popular YouTuber who's been killed based off domestic abuse or domestic violence. Go to the 911 call. Go watch that 911. Just go listen or watch. Go watch that 9. Just go watch that 9. Just listen to that 911 call concerning Gabby. You tell me that's normal. And especially in 2021. But these things happen. Your emotions take over. So now you won't say anything. Is he a mad white man? Because when African Americans display their emotions, oh, they're mad. They're angry. What about this person right here? What about Brian? Brian Laundrie, what about him? Is he a mad white man? I mean, his conscience led him to kill a person. Not like, oh, let me take you home. Let me take you home and let's just break this up. It led him to say, you know what? I'm going to take your own life. It has to be him. Two of you were together. There's incidents of you two fighting. There's body cam footage of the police in Utah, in a small town of Moab, stopping these two and then talking to these two, because both of them were arguing, and there was a physical altercation. But Gabby was with a black man. What would have happened? What would have happened if Gabby was with a African American? Brian Laundrie is no threat. No. But the African American would be a big threat. So they would just detain him for the day and just like keep him in jail just for a day or two. They didn't find Brian a threat, but they always find an African American a threat. I shouldn't be bringing that up, but I just want some people to know that they didn't find the boyfriend a threat after there was a 911 call about him putting hands on her. Let that be an African American. What would we say? What would this story be if there was an African American involved in this? Hey, the whole white community of Florida will be after him. Manhunt. I guarantee you, manhunt. Where's the manhunt for this guy? This guy is strolling. I don't even know where this guy is disappearing right before your eyes. Where is the active manhunt? Where is it? Hey, there's no active manhunt for this guy. You would think police would be searching for this guy. Shoop, 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 shoop. Helicopters be flying over Wyoming looking for this man every day and every night. Making sure he's captured. Let that be an African American. Oh, I tell you, this guy would have been caught. He would have been caught the day they reported her, and then they told her the boyfriend was African American. He would have been found 3 days, 4 days later. They didn't deem Brian a threat, and he ended up killing her. You people, you suggest that they split apart because you thought, oh yeah, he's not gonna do anything. Yeah, well, you're right. Maybe not. We don't know what happened. What time of death what time of death? What is this? What happened? Where was she? You know what? How did it? I mean, all these questions. I can't even put that out there because I'm trying to put it in a sentence just so I can understand. Why is it? Where is this? Why is there no manhunt for this guy? This guy is out there. What's going on? But let that be an African American. He would have been found 3 days, 4 days later, after they've reported her missing. The system. Then watch. Then watch. I just want to see. I want to know about his trial. I want to know about the trial. Because now he's a suspect, right? He is a suspect. Why hasn't he turned himself in? He's guilty. He has to be guilty. I mean, I shouldn't be making conclusions, but he's guilty. He's the only person that was with her. You can't tell me a person from wherever followed them and then thing. Because it was a white van that was similar to a van they used to travel to Wyoming or wherever they went to for the national park. He's on the run. He hasn't turned himself in. What's going on? Because if you didn't do anything, you would turn yourself in. Correct? It just makes me... It irritates me that they didn't deem something would happen. But what can they do? They didn't charge. They said they were in love. They didn't go forward with their charge. So what do? The police officers obviously are going to be like, okay, just suggest something and go. And that ultimately has led to her not being alive. But let that be an African American. I really wanted, if there was an African American involved, don't you think this guy would have been put in jail? Just detained for like 2 days, 3 days, just for him to cool down or something like that and then go back. It just shows you. It really just shows you how the police will treat you. It really does. It really does. I mean, Gabby, high school. Look, I've already said that, but I'm not gonna drabble on. But I just want to say, Gabby, rest in peace. And I shouldn't have brought that up. And Joy Reid does make a good point. There was a post. I mean, there was a interview a person did talking about. I think she has her own show on MSNBC. I think that's the show name is Joy Reid. She talked about why don't black women and black and indigenous women don't get the same media coverage. At that point, I was going to be like, "Hey, man, don't do that. Don't do that. Joy Reid, don't do that. Right now, it's with the family trying to get closure and stuff like that." But she does make a good, compelling point. I mean, go. It's on. I think Hollywood Unlocked, but I don't think that would be a reputable, reliable source, so to say. But she does have a show, and then she does state that, look, because she's blonde, she's getting massive media coverage. What if she was black? What if she was indigenous? She makes some good points. But as for me, I'm just like, right now, you don't need to be talking about that. It's about a young woman who's suffered domestic abuse. That's when I think women need to come together and say, look here, not now. Not now. Because women of all colors face domestic abuse. So I feel like we shouldn't just pinpoint all black people and indigenous people. Why don't they have the same media coverage? And it should be probably the same. It should women who have been domestic abused or been, kidnapped or whatever it needs to be a thing, but you can't just say, okay, based on her color. I mean, she's probably turned up somewhere. There should be the same level of urgency for a female who has been beaten or, kidnapped or whatever. The coverage should be the same, especially a young female. But they hit if it, and I think it should be like, and it depends on the age range. If she's young, like Gabby, young 22-year-old woman, taken from this world because of domestic violence or a domestic dispute that's led to her death. I don't know. I really do feel for the family. A man they trusted since they were in high school, the man they trusted to take care of the daughter let them down, and he's on the run. But why is there no manhunt? That's my question. Why aren't y'all putting all your efforts, like at least resources? Why? You take so many. That's why I think the police needs a reshake in their system in the departments. I mean, there's somebody missing. I mean, well, they found the body, but it was too late. It's really sad. But rest in peace, Gabby. Looking at her videos, she did show positivity. She showed, she's a free spirit. She cared about nature. She cared about, things she loved to do with nature, and she shared it with somebody that she thought she loved. Excuse me. She thought she shared something with the same person that she loved, but ultimately a young relationship just turned violent. And that's expected because they're young. They don't understand. It's the young relationship that was doomed. Because I think they were just too young, and then maybe they wanted to do other things, and then because they were, involved in this YouTube world, and I ultimately thought maybe they just couldn't break that up because of their fans or whatever, and just tried to see if they could make it work, and it ended up, losing a life. Just hope, families got closure now, and I hope, everything. There's too much. Hopefully the families can work it out. That's what I want to say. I hope they do, and I really hope they do. But good luck to the families, and once again. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a very good lesson to let young couples know, especially young couples under 25. You don't understand anything about relationships because you're with each other every single day, and there's certain things that y'all don't like, and one thing can lead to another, which small things can lead to big things, and you don't know how to handle it. You better not. I advise you, get space, take some time off with each other, see where y'all at in terms of relationship, where you are as a person, and if you guys seem to be better off without each other, then break it up. Because at the end of the day, this could have been avoided. A few people are arguing. Let it go. I mean, somebody's conscience was able to say, hey, I'm going to take your life. It's incredible. Just to the young ones out there, Gen Zs, you do not know anything. Gen Z, blah, blah. You Gen Z kids don't know anything out there. I'm 95. I don't know anything. I'm almost 26. 26, 27. I don't understand. You don't have to figure it out. Don't be scared to ask for help. And if your relationship is tense, do not think that going on a trip is going to make it better, because it could make it worse. And as you can see with Gabby Petito, things were not between Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Things were not as it seems.